Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ulysses from Snapkeep Videos, and I'm here today to talk about Avengers Endgame. The movie was really long, so I went in at around 6:20 p.m. and came out at roughly 9:45 or something like that after previews and credits and whatnot. There's a lot of controversy on the internet about certain parts of the movie. I will talk about them later on in this video. I will give a spoiler alert and everything, so you guys that haven't seen it yet don't have the movie ruined for you. I really enjoyed it. It was a good ending to what they're calling the Infinity Saga now. It was far more heart pull stringy than the first half of the movie was. You know, it's not your typical just action-packed, just explosions everywhere, but there's some action scenes. There's a lot of really nice interactions between characters that you haven't really seen on camera together. And most people probably don't realize that Tony Stark and Cap were never on camera at the same time in the first half of this movie. So it was really impactful for me to see Cap and Iron Man, you know, Tony in the same scene together. And like, what are they going to say to each other? The last time they spoke to each other, as far as we know, is through a phone call. Saying that, you know, Cap said he'll always be there, and, you know, Tim and Tony still, you know, coming off of pretty much, you know, the Civil War and everything, and the fact that they had gone through an entire movie fighting the same villain and not running into each other was pretty remarkable. And a lot of people, I guess, didn't realize that. There's not really much to say without getting into the spoilers, so from now on the video, if you don't want me to spoil anything, I suggest you go see the movie and then come back and watch the next half of the video. So you guys go out. If you haven't seen the movie, get out and watch it. It's definitely worth a watch in the theater. I don't have to tell you that. It's an MCU movie. Get out there and watch it. Right off the bat in the beginning, it starts off, as most movies do, trying to make it seamless that the there was another half. There was a previous half, that it wasn't its own standalone film. You kind of get the backstory of Clint, and a lot of people thought that it was going to be something to do with his family getting caught up in the snap of the first film, and that's what brought him back as Ronin and got him into the fight. And sure enough, it was. That's pretty much what happened. You see him doing his thing as a dad and teaching his daughter how to shoot a bow, and he calls her Hawkeye at one point. It was really cool. And then it kind of goes to where after the snap and you know, what our remaining Avengers are doing and whatnot. The ones that remain all assemble together, and Nebula ends up telling them, you know, oh, I know where Thanos is. You don't have to look very far. You soon find out that he actually did the snap twice, not just once. So the first time he did it to wipe out half the population. The second time he did it to destroy the stones. He wanted to do it so that no one else can assemble the stones and, you know, either reverse what he did or make things worse by his standards. So it really took a lot out of him. And you actually see it physically. He's like limping. His armor is not on. Like, he has it hung like a scarecrow almost. That's actually in one of the comics. It looks like he has really bad burns on his arm and up his neck and face and stuff, and it just looks like he had a really bad ordeal. They quickly dispatch of him. I didn't know how I sat with that at first. I thought it was a little anticlimactic. You actually see Thor just come up with Stormbreaker and just like decapitate him. There's a bit of a cheeky humor line where one of the characters says, you know, what did you do? And he's like, I went for the head, you know, and it brought, you know, the audience laughed and everything, but I thought it was a little like weird. I thought maybe it was kind of like a fan service, like, you know, we all hated Thanos for so long, you know, all the memes of him going, y'all all right, and stuff like that, that was just for us to be like, yeah, you know, just get him out of here. There was a long cut to black, and I even made the joke to my wife and my friend that were sitting next to me. I look at them and I'm like, all right, well, let's go. That's the end of the movie. And they're like, you know, right? Because it was like 5 or 6 seconds of a cut to black. It said, you know, 5 years later. And we're like, okay, so it's been 5 years. Let's see what's up. But you got Captain Rogers is like a motivational speaker, kind of like an AA kind of thing, where he's talking about people that have survived the snap and how they need to move on and persevere and stuff. You get like an overhead shot of like what New York and these places look like after the snap, and you know, cars crashing, and you don't see them crashing, but you see like the aftermath basically. You find out that like Nat's been trying to find Clint, several of the Avengers scouring the country and the world looking for Clint. There's a lot that goes on, a lot of explanation, a lot of you know, filling in the gaps and stuff of what happened in the 5 years, and a lot of comedic parts. There's something with Thor that's gonna make you guys laugh if you haven't seen it yet. What he's been doing for the 5 years, it's been really funny. But moving on, the things in the movie that people, as far as the internet is concerned, are kind of having a tough time, you know, swallowing. is the ending. The ending is a very, very, very important part for everyone. I've watched this film series since Iron Man 1. So I've been invested in these characters for so many, almost half, actually a third of my life. So I basically was hoping for a good finish to Phase 3, and several of the actors whose contracts expired and we pretty much knew were exiting the franchise. You know, Chris Evans had that tweet on Twitter saying that he was exiting and how grateful he was to all the fans and everything. So we knew they were going to write him off somehow. They did not choose to do it the way it happens in The Death of Captain America, so he doesn't get killed off. It's a very different ending. As far as I'm concerned, it's an original ending to the Captain America character. I liked it, personally. I kind of agree a little bit with the people online. It kind of was a little convoluted. Maybe with a second watching, it'll make sense. But there was kind of like a problem with the way the movie explains how time travel works. If you go back in time and you change something, it's not like we commonly see in movies where it's like a trickle effect. And like if you go back in time and kill like if Batman went back in time and killed whoever killed his parents, then something wacky would happen, like, you know, his mom became the Joker in one timeline. His mom will become the Joker and his dad is Batman, and he never became Batman. Like, apparently in the MCU, it's not like that. It's kind of like a like a tree effect, almost, if you will. Like, you have the main timeline, which is the trunk of the tree, and then if you go back and start altering it, you just start creating little vessels or branches off of said tree. Going back in time and correcting something or undoing something doesn't necessarily change the future. The movie was very clear about that, and Banner explained it to everyone when they were like, we need to go back in time and get the stones and undo everything. Pretty much the stuff that we knew was going to happen in the second half. The ending is what people on the internet are talking about, and some of them are very unhappy. They say it kind of clashes with interpretation of time travel, and how Bruce was explaining how it worked and how it's not, like I said, you know, a traditional time travel conundrum if you mess up something in time. It didn't make sense because at the very end, Cap goes and he says it's his responsibility. He wants to go return the stones to where they were in their raw form. Well, if you guys remember, and if you will see in the movie, getting the stones wasn't as simple as going and getting the stones in their raw form. They were either in a tesseract or in a scepter or liquefied. How is he going to do this and not raise suspicion or get captured or whatever? So that sat really badly with people. I guess, in my opinion, you can finagle that somehow. You can always, you know, explain that because they explained that it takes 5 seconds what would take him however long he needed. So they could just say that he was there for 20 years and it took 5 seconds in our time. Bucky tells Sam, go ahead, you know, and he walks up, and it's an elderly man, and he looks up at him and he's just like, hey, Sam. And then he's like, Steve? And you can tell the guy's like maybe in his 80s. You come to find out that what Steve did was he went back in time, he returned the stones, and then he must have returned, I forget which stone, but he must have returned one purposely at the end so that he can stay in that timeline and live his life out with Agent Carter. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people that I spoke to said they didn't like it. They wished that they would have just killed Steve off and made it to where they didn't have this gigantic, you know, conflict of Banner explaining how time travel works and Steve just totally like going against it and saying, you know, well, hey, I lived my whole life out. And, you know, Captain America wouldn't give up on the fight, but he did. You know, he retired. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I think the second time I watch it, I will have a better understanding or a better point of view about it. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Steve should have gone back, returned the stones, and then just came back and, you know, lived his life out as an Avenger in our timeline? Or do you think it was good what he did and you agree with what he did, going back and growing old with Agent Carter? One guy wrote online that he thought he's like, I don't think Cap would break up a marriage, essentially. So we know that she was married and had kids, so did he undo her kids? So there's a lot of, you know, of speculation and a lot of opinions on this matter. Most rest of the movie, I think the rest of the movie everyone loved and no one had any problems with it. I haven't heard any complaints about it. I'm eager to know what you guys think, and I really liked it. I'm going to see it with like 3 more groups of friends, and I'm super excited to see it with them and see their reactions to certain things. I know I said it was a spoiler video, but I purposely left stuff out because I want you guys to enjoy it. And I know that those of you who stuck around for the end of the video don't care, or either already saw the movie and don't care about me spoiling it. But if you guys want to discuss it, please leave messages below. I will answer them. I'll answer each and every one of them. I want to thank you guys for watching. And don't forget, those of you who saw the movie, like the ending. If you didn't like the ending, just shoot me a message down below and tell me what you thought. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video.